Hi, Fabian. What are you doing for Mindfuel?
Hi, Francie. So at Mindfuel, I have the role of a Chief Revenue Officer, which effectively means bringing our amazing solutions to a wider audience and designing a modern next-gen go-to-market engine that delights our customers with what we have to offer.
Oh, very interesting. And I know you've been familiar with the data space before you joined Mindfuel. Can you elaborate a bit on your journey? What brought you to Mindfuel?
Yeah, that's actually an interesting one because you're right. I've been in the data space, but so far I've always been on the technology side. So I worked in cloud, I worked in big data, I worked in data federation, I worked in AI for a little while. And one thing I found particularly interesting about Mindfuel is that it's not just technology that makes data work, but it's also processes and additional things that are needed, and specifically data product management, obviously, being a core driver these days. And that attracted me really to pursue, say, a non-infrastructure related career, but to actually go more into the business side, now understanding how data actually provides value to an organization.
Oh, that's very interesting. I caught there the term data product management, right? So what I'm interested in, are there any challenges you got to know over the years of your journey in this data space that are reoccurring and where you think maybe data product management can help overcome those?
Yeah, I actually think that, first of all, that's an excellent question. But I think what's clear is that I think we are trying to solve, or still trying to solve, challenges that we created ourselves through technology. I think the data space in particular has been very much technology driven for the last decade or so. Like something fancy new came up and everybody, say, in Silicon Valley adopted it, and companies were forced to pursue technology implementations without actually asking about why they would need it in the first place. So I think the data lake to data swamp transition is something that people commonly refer to. And I quite like about data product management that it doesn't necessarily take a technology approach to solving data challenges, but a more holistic, more managerial approach as to why do I need data for this particular product in the first place? What is it used for? Can I give the life cycle and all these wonderful attributes? And I think that is clearly the next step that was required to build a framework that sits on top of what data technologies can bring into the world of the business. And the best way to connect the dots is apparently product management. Combining that with data makes it data product management, and it's resonating extremely well and helps a lot of organizations already to be a lot more structured, but also more value-oriented when they explore and develop data-driven initiatives.
Wow, there was a lot of content in there, a lot of insightful things. But what I wondered, do you believe then data product management can help not jump on every trending topic and really focus on what is important for my business success, and compared to like, okay, there's a new topic coming in like Gen AI or so, let's jump on this wagon, let's implement it. So the why really stands in the focus of it, or do you see it differently?
Well, I think that's kind of the implication of the problems that we created as a technology-driven society over the last years or so. And that is, a new technology comes up and everybody gets immediately jazzed about what it can potentially bring. And whilst trends like generative AI, large language models, and whatever else is there certainly provide a lot of value, you got to assess whether it's something that you actually need for your business. And I think people always confuse what technology can do with what they need to do. And I think data product management, for example, talks much more about why would you need a certain thing in the first place? And if the outcome is that a generative AI model, for example, would help the use case, why not do it? But we shouldn't, again, do the same mistakes we've always done. We implement technology and then hunting for use cases, or applicable usage of those respective tech trends. But we should maybe step back for once and say, all right, what is it that we actually want to achieve? And data, and this is where it becomes, I think, very interesting nowadays. I mean, data is the glue that sticks it all together. Whether you're talking about AI or business intelligence, machine learning, generative AI, reporting, cloud-based data systems, whatever, they are all glued together by data. So I think looking at what data you have, what you could potentially do with it, what creates value, actually defines the technology choice and not the other way around.
So, Fabian, what has surprised you the most during your work in the data product management field? Was there any moment where you were like, "Wow, really? This is how people do it," or something similar?
Oh, well, yes. And it's actually like probably the most random thing.
Okay.
And that is, I was never like, of course, I mean, I worked in data for a while, yeah, so I know the industry, but it has never occurred to me that the actual planning of the most sophisticated data systems, yeah, some of the most advanced algorithms, the best machine learning models with the brightest minds involved, is actually done in excellent PowerPoint. That to me was a shocking moment that like the largest of corporations with the most amazing tech stack who can technically build everything, yeah, data related, still use excellent PowerPoint for planning. That was definitely a big shock, and still is, by the way, today. Like the chances of that question being answered with yes when asked in a meeting is something that still surprises me, admittedly.
Oh yeah, this is also I cannot grasp this because I can imagine like the weight on the shoulders of data leaders, you know, like they have to prove what are you actually doing each day, like how do you create value? And if they use PowerPoint to show this, I mean, they also have to be good storytellers, I believe. And then in Excel, I can imagine there's like so many different kinds of Excel sheets. And then how do you collaborate with the business team and the data team and create like a work that you can show to other stakeholders and show your value? Yeah, wow, I'm blown away by this. That's crazy.
Yeah, especially, and I think you're spot on, especially because data is complex. Yeah, and it's actually multidimensional. Yeah, if you think about it, like nowadays with IoT sensors and clouds and devices creating data all around us and external services and cloud-based systems, on-prem systems, hybrid systems. Yeah, and then also the business side of things who want certain things, dashboarding engines, BI, machine learning, all the wonderful things. So it's really it's like multidimensional. But Excel isn't, you know?
Yeah.
Excel is basically a two-dimensional tabular format, yeah? And I don't think you can actually, in any shape or form, put the complexity of data into an Excel spreadsheet anymore. But we haven't evolved
Yeah.
doing the things we should be able to be doing with data differently when it comes to planning, prioritization, use case extraction, value optimization, measurement, and so on and so forth. Because we still apparently love Excel doing that. And that's shocking, still.
Yeah.
Absolutely shocking.
Yeah, I agree. Also, what comes to mind is the sustainability factor of using Excel, because I cannot imagine like how is it to keep it up to date, you know, this Excel file. To my mind, you send it and then someone works on it and then someone else works on it. How do you ensure it's up to date and the quality is there that you wanted to have in there?
Oh, I think that's actually that actually makes it more funny because
Yeah.
that actually creates again another element of absurdity, I would say. Because yes, you're right, there isn't the one Excel sheet, of course. Yeah, there's like 50 different versions of the one Excel sheet, and of those 50 different versions, there's probably some temporary versions or some version 2s or some versions for another country. Yeah, and of course they are not being consolidated back because no one has ownership of that Excel sheet. And all of a sudden, yeah, it gets even more chaotic, yeah, and people know even less what to do and what to prioritize on because there isn't even a single point of from. I mean, leave aside Excel for a moment, yeah, because it's a great tool. However, yeah, having 60 different Excel sheets talking about the same but in different ways isn't going to help your case particularly well.
And what does the introduction of data product management bring for the business? Can you name like 3 things?
I think, first of all, an understanding what data people do. And whilst this may not sound like a big revelation, I actually think it is, because I think there's still a big disconnect between business understanding data and data understanding the business. So teams, so data teams and business teams, of course. Second thing is, I think, is to give data some tangible value, which is the other thing. So first of all, understanding what's doable with data and what tools, technologies, processes exist. Secondly, to understand how do I actually attach value to data, which is the other thing, which is, I mean, you may look at data in a database like your customer data, and it's obviously very important, but how much is it worth? And I think attaching value to data, even to enrich data assets and so on, is another critical component. And then thirdly is to find ways to work together efficiently, because I still think that, especially when data and business teams talk with each other, there's still a lot lost in translation. And I think standardizing on an approach which incorporates product thinking actually allows them to talk together much better and more efficiently, focusing on an outcome over a continuous period of time, whereas typically what is being looked at is more an output of a model. And that's definitely a major improvement.
What I caught there was a lot of collaboration aspects between the business side and the data side. Do you believe data product management can help reducing the work of people being the mediator between business and data, so that this kind of acts like a translator help between the two teams?
100%. Because I mean, there's an unspoken or an untold mystery that I personally don't understand, but for some reason you can design like, imagine you want to build a new use case, like you're a business person, you have such a great idea and you want your data team to implement something. The first thing that typically happens is they're going to send you a template, and it doesn't matter how easy or simple or sophisticated the template is. For some reason, business people do not like to fill out templates. And I think this is already where the problem starts, because you cannot enter a dialogue, because data people would basically say, well, I need to understand what you're trying to do first. And business people will be like, well, I was very clear about what I want. And I think the mediator between the two actually needs to be much more like a real product manager, right? Understanding his target audience being the business, and understanding his supply chain, which is the data side, and bringing those together to actually develop and design a product. So I think the role of a data product manager becomes essential, in effectively fostering the collaboration between the two extremes here. And just as a side note, I think that's also something that, for example, we see internally in a lot of companies. So me speaking for myself here now, but I think once we implemented an idea of the folks designing our CRM systems, marketing, whoever works with metrics, with our business goals, which is a very sophisticated way of doing things, I think since then we improved a lot, because all of a sudden everybody knows what output we want to achieve. And individual KPIs may not matter so much anymore, because achieving the greater good, with value assigned to it, is actually what everybody strikes to do. And I think that also creates a whole different behavior of individuals involved. And of course, we have a lot of data product managers who can help us here, but I think that every department, every organization can in fact learn from the idea of data being crucial to what they want to achieve. And effectively getting everyone on board as to why we need to do certain things in a certain way with data and through data.
So Fabian, you have a really interesting background banner on your LinkedIn profile that I want to talk about a little bit. And I wondered, how can data product management help to create a fact-based approach to forecasting instead of this dream forecasting that everybody maybe wants, but it's hard to achieve?
I mean, so it's not actually data product management specific why I put the quote out there. It plays into it. But what I found out over the last years, and I'll make the loop why data product management matters in a second, but what I found out is that people do not connect metrics quite well. So, and what I feel is that dream casting to me, which actually comes more from a sales perspective, was you look at your pipeline, and everything looks green and rosy and everyone's happy just because your so-called indicators tell you that this is the case. However, folks still not crush the numbers. Yeah. So quite obviously, well, there was an element of dreaming about opportunities. Yeah. And I think what's a much better way is to actually look at facts rather than emotions. Like companies out there would give people pipeline targets. Yeah, like especially like startups and sales organizations would typically say, well, you need to create 15 opportunities per quarter. Yeah, in, I don't know, your target account patch, whatever, maybe something. Yeah, well, this will likely never create a lot of facts. It will create 15 opportunities. Whether they are actual opportunities, however, is something, yeah, that will have to be seen. But what I've seen a lot is that people lack the experience, also sales management, yeah, and even the higher up sales management, to actually inspect those opportunities. So a lot of fake ones are being created, but then forecasts are being built on probabilities of those fake opportunities, where someone said, oh yeah, sure, I spoke to someone on at the client side, yeah, and this person apparently was friendly and I sent him a slide deck. That's an opportunity. No, it isn't. Yeah, like understanding your client, etc., is actually what creates an opportunity. And I think, to me, is we are a little bit of influenced, I would say, by some of the aspects of our surroundings, which kind of tell you a little bit like, aim for the stars, you can do it. Yeah, pipeline is lifeline. Yeah, in every business. Yeah, you need to start the bus first, and so on. And I think it would much rather help if we come back to facts a little bit more and really look at, isn't it better to have one real opportunity instead of tens where I'm not actually sure if there are opportunities in the first place, talking again from a sales perspective. And then this is what data product management helps with data organizations, because yeah, you can have hundreds of these great technologies or use cases or analytical products or whatever. Yeah, but if you don't know what really they are supporting and you make it fact-based, well, you're pretty much in the same situation. You have a lot of technology, you have a lot of smart people working on smart technology, developing super impressive things. However, if there's no applicability to your business, why would you need it in the first place? And I think that's kind of where fact-based comes into play. Long answer, I know, but I think it's an important distinction.
So you're not so much a fan of the phrase, let's fake it till you make it, I guess?
Well, I would say historically that's been okay, really, right? Yeah. But because you were selling a lot on vision. And I think when you sell on vision and you know that you can deliver against a vision, yeah, I think it is, let's say, okay-ish, yeah, to also fake it till you make it, to a degree. However, I think nowadays, and especially in the last 2 years, we've seen a transformational shift to, I have a problem now and I need a solution now, yeah, and I don't really want to buy into yet another vision, yeah, which created this mess that I'm seeing in the first place. So yes.